I'll tell you what, we have big changes on the way. You're not going to believe what's happening. Hey, today we have work on a 65 C10, a little bit of maintenance work. We have some work on the yellow 67. That's turning out awesome. So check this out right now. Tommy's going to get some windows put together on the 67, and I will be right back.
Morning, everybody. Odd Rod Garage here, and today we're doing more stuff to all kinds of projects we have going on. On Old Yeller here, we need to do that wing window. Not because it's the glass isn't broke out or anything else. The pivot pin's actually broke. So we have another door that we're gonna have to, we'll extract this stuff from. Somewhat of a simple process. 1, 2, 3 bolts here. There's a couple in here. But as you all know, windows can get a little weird. I'd like to get the wing window done and finish up with the ignition switch. And we still got to get this poor tumbler is having issues. Anyway, try to get the bezel off. If not, we might have to end up breaking stuff to get that out. I really don't want to do that, but anyway. But we do need to reinstall the new ignition switch. But you know, it's a beautiful morning. Got some sunshine. Have some slop. Let me show you guys real quick. I'm sorry I didn't film this, but you all have slung mud in your life, I'm sure of that. Check this out. Anyway, it was going okay for a little bit, and then I ended up having to put some boards and stuff like that. And we were roasting some chicken first thing in the morning. Let's go ahead and get this door ripped apart, and I'll see you in a second. All right, guys. First, we're gonna take the handles off. This guy right here. I need you to come off. Yeah, I got a little concerned there after a couple minutes of slinging mud. Not that I wanted to sling mud everywhere, but you know, you get kind of worried. Oh man. Now you've done it. There she goes. Funky. Alright, that's cool. Alright. Alright. Yay. Didn't damage it or nothing. That was already there, guys. Okay, guys, so obviously these were getting a little ugly. This one ended up breaking off. I really hoped it wouldn't do that, but anyway. And this one is giving me a lot of trouble. Anyway, we got them all out. So now what we have to do is we have to try to slide the window mechanism back so we can get it off of the track here and off the track in here too. Alright guys, so I had to rough this thing up a little bit. We finally got the regulator out of the door. Obviously these guys were giving us a lot of trouble. The regulator itself was rusted pretty bad. I got it freed up and everything. Everything's good in that respect. Got the rollers freed up, all that. The problem was the wing window. It was originally for the truck. Obviously it was missing or we wouldn't even be doing this. But the rivets were snapped off and stuff like that, so you couldn't really just replace the glass, right? So we're like, well, hey, we got another door. Well, I was able to get the other wing window out. But unfortunately, the donor door, this guy here, the regulator was frozen in place. Okay guys, windows ready. Set it in there for now. Now, we're gonna do the wing window. And again guys, sometimes this stuff can be pretty frustrating, I'll admit. Alright. So there's that. So we need to try to just gonna put one of these things. Now these screws go into the door jamb itself. Alright, so there's that. So now let's go ahead and try to get our window into this track. So let's plus. Yay. I'll tell you what, some people's kids. Alright guys, 9,000 years later, I finally got it. What I was doing wrong was I need to get this guy latched in first. That's that slide that's back there, and I got that. I had a really hard time hooking the glass. But anyway, it all functions now. Yay! Here's that. Here's what we started with the wing window. Yay! Everybody's tight. I'm gonna go ahead and put the door panel back on, and it's gonna be super cool. Alright guys, door's all complete. Everything works. Yay! So what I did was I ran ahead and ran a tap in these guys. I don't want to have any trouble with them later on. Let's go ahead and put the door panel back on. I'll tell you what, that was a little bit more of an ordeal than I was planning on. But it's on. And that's what counts. Also, I adjusted the door a little bit, that way it closes a little better. Next we'll put our, actually I guess next we'll put the door handle back on. And then lastly the window crank. Here's our door handle. Let me blabbing, let's do something different. Okay. Happy camper! It came out! Yay! We didn't kill the bezel doing it. Anyway, that's the old one. The switch probably, well actually the switch didn't work good. It had an intermittent start position and stuff like that. Anyway, here's our new one. Here's our collar. This collar actually goes back here. You see where these fingers go? That keeps the ignition switch from turning. Anyway, in these pins here, it actually interlocks there so the switch won't turn. I'm going to go ahead and get the bezel and put that all together. I am not going to put the tumbler in there yet because knowing how difficult these guys are to get out, the keys are a little sticky, so believe it or not, I'd like to work the key in a little bit before I actually put the tumbler in there. Let's go and get that ignition switch in there. Lord willing, by the end of the day, we'll be able to start it. And what I'll do is I'll see what kind of signal we're getting from the ECM to make the fans work. And because that's going to dictate how we wire it. So hang on real quick, I'll get a bezel. Obviously it's got a blank there. The ignition switch has a blank. So it only goes on one way. You see how it interlocks like that. Zoop. And so we go up here like this. Nice and tidy like.
Alright, sometimes it can be a real pain in the keister when you're doing something like that. But you know, our buddy Brandon that we built the black 65 C10 with the big block 454, he's getting ready to go to a show. And we had a few little things that's been nagging us on his truck. Some little things he asked us to help him with. Had nothing to do with us. He had an alternator go bad. Just a little bit of maintenance. We're going to give it an oil change, and we're going to adjust the valves or just check the valves to make sure they're all right, so that he feels confident in driving it to this show. So check this out.
Alright, so Brandon's truck's back for some routine maintenance. We dumped the oil out of it, just kind of get an idea what the oil's looking like. You know, no major issues. I guess his alternator had died, the one that it left with, and then he had bought a replacement one, and the bearing went out in that one. So now we're changing the alternator again. That's alright. Anyway, but Pete did want me to check the valve adjustment on this stuff, on this girl. So obviously it's going to entail taking the valve covers off and stuff like that. There's a lot of you guys there. I'm going to pull the plugs out, see what the plugs look like. And that way too, when all the plugs are out, when I take the valve covers off, the motor will spin a lot easier without the plugs in it. Alright guys, sorry I didn't show you this. I took the plugs out. All the plugs are burning pretty good. They're pretty much all the same. Next is the valve covers. And then we got to roll this girl up to TDC on number 1, and then we'll start just double checking our valve adjustment. That's all done for that one. Hey, there's oil in there. Alright, let's do that side now. Let's go and do a visual inspection. Make sure we don't have any weird rockers coming around, anything like that. Nothing's falling off. So next what I want to do is I want to spin it around to where my number 1 valves are closed, and then we'll just start checking it from there. Alright guys, so YouTube can be a pretty big tool, right? Well, there's a certain guy that I like to follow. It's Derek of Vice Trip Garage. He actually did this very thing here a couple videos ago. And I'm going to actually use his trick because this girl is so big. I have a hard time. I don't really want to turn it by the crank nut. So what I did was I bumped it around to number 1, where number 1's up. And what he suggests is get it to number 1, check all your rods, and then quarter out your crank, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you go through 2 cycles of 4, if you got a loose push rod or something like that, you'll catch it. So put number 1 right here. Let's go ahead and mark where that's at. Alright guys, I think they're good. We'll go and clean out the valve covers, get those back on, and then slam the alternator in there. We need to dump the oil out of this thing still too. I'm going to put the driver valve cover on here. So I want to give you a disclaimer. I'm not a professional engine builder. So here's that. I'm going to go ahead and snug these guys up and change gears yet again. Valve covers are on, plugs are back in. Next is put the alternator on, then we'll dump the oil out of it.
Alright, a little bit of maintenance work is always good. We have some other stuff I was going to show you, but we're going to build one video out of that. So at this point in time, we're just glad you guys came by to check out what we're doing. In the next couple of weeks, we have some big announcements. Some cool things are going to happen. I think you guys are going to like it. At this point in time, Tommy and I really want to thank you guys for coming by and watching. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, give us a like, make sure that you make a comment, share the link, and turn on the bell notification. If you get a chance, drop by our web store at www.theoddrodgarage.com. And as always, thanks for watching.